But throughout the 1980s, the population revolted. And in 1986, after years of struggle, Haitians toppled the regime. In Haiti's first democratic election, in 1990, Jean-Bertrand Aristide stood for president, winning 67% of the vote. Aristide was committed to popular empowerment and brought with him the prospect that rather than for domestic elite and foreign profit, Haiti's economy would be made to work for the country's poor majority.
That old model, the dictatorial model of maintaining control, that model no longer is adequate. So you need a new strategy. And the last 20 to 25 years has been all about what is the new strategy for maintaining this very unstable, hierarchical, unequal situation, how to preserve the power of the rich at the expense of the poor.
Central to the new model has been an influx of non-governmental organizations, or NGOs, into Haiti, which have arrived en masse in the democratic era.
La question des ONG est une question importante en Haïti. Depuis les années 80, fin des années 80, on a une véritable invasion d'ONG. Actuellement, on parle d'à peu près 5000 ONG fonctionnant en Haïti, chacun avec son drapeau, son projet, son agenda, sans aucune communication entre eux. Donc ça conduit à un émiettement, une atomisation du tissu social haïtien et à la destruction des réseaux de solidarité interne, où les organisations ont tendance à se faire compétition pour mettre la main sur ces miettes du développement international.
Foreign NGO workers do play a very strong role in containing democracy. They come down with the best of intentions. They could pass a lie detector test that they really do support democracy, but most of their programs, by far the largest financial supporter of NGOs in Haiti is the U.S. government, and followed very closely by European governments. And to a large extent, although it's done subtly, it is done very effectively to instrumentalize the NGOs to make them arms of U.S. policy.
Though many NGOs do carry out valuable work, the en masse arrival of NGOs has had important effects and has helped to transform Haitian politics into something which might be described as democratic, which in reality is imposed and controlled from above. These days, Haitian ministries are brimming with international experts and technocrats, while Haitian citizens find themselves increasingly marginalized. And while many NGOs alienate Haitians unknowingly, for others subverting democracy is an outright intent. Following Aristide's victory in 1990, US funding for political activities in Haiti sharply increased. Since then, US government agencies have invested millions of dollars into political parties, trade unions, and media. As one of the founders of the US National Endowment for Democracy put it, a lot of what we do today was done covertly 25 years ago by the CIA.
The best way to understand what's happened in Haiti in the last 25 years is as a campaign to reverse the capacity of people to assemble and to freely deliberate and to discuss in an informed way about what they should do and what their common objectives should be, what their national policy should be, and maybe more importantly, to prevent them from gaining the power to implement them, to reverse the process of popular empowerment. Because if you can make sure that people can't come together, if you can atomize people and divide them, if you can disrupt their organizations, fragment them, disperse them, if you can make it so that it's difficult for them to deliberate and discuss what should be done, if you can confuse the situation by controlling and manipulating the media, for example, and if you can furthermore ensure that their politicians, their political parties, and so on, lose the capacity to impose themselves, then you can retain a grip on the situation.
Another pillar of the new model has been the implementation of far-reaching economic changes in Haiti, a restructuring of the country's social fabric that started under Duvalier and has been steadily imposed ever since.
Depuis les années 80, le département d'État des États-Unis et la USAID ont produit un document que nous avons appelé depuis l'époque Plan pour Haïti, qui est un plan qui résume en fait les éléments clés du consensus de Washington. Ça veut dire réduction de l'État, privatisation, libéralisation commerciale, libéralisation financière, etc. Et depuis les années 80, il répète des recommandations de ce genre dans tous les documents officiels sur l'économie haïtienne.
Very early on, many Haitians were aware of it, and they called it the American plan. That was, if you want, the counter plan to the one the Haitian people were trying to devise and to lay out. And even before I came back to Haiti in 1980, I was aware of a work, I think, done by the RAND Corporation, which advocated, if you want, destroying food production in countries of the third world so that they would become dependent on food production in the U.S. And then you wouldn't have to send the Marines, you'd just have to retain the food.
When Aristide first came to power, he opposed this plan. Before deciding to run for office, he observed, "Of course, the US has its own agenda, but it is monstrous to come down here and impose your will on another people. I cannot accept that Haiti should be whatever the United States wants it to be."
People in Haiti found a way to impose themselves as the primary actors of politics and to pose the threat then that they would indeed take control of the country and that there would be a democratic movement that would force policy into line with the interests of the great majority of the people. And those would not coincide with the interests of the rich few.
To Haiti in 1980, I was aware of a work, I think, done by the RAND Corporation, which advocated, if you want, destroying food production in countries of the third world so that they would become dependent on food production in the U.S. And then you wouldn't have to send the Marines, you'd just have to retain the food.
When Aristide first came to power, he opposed this plan. Before deciding to run for office, he observed, "Of course, the US has its own agenda, but it is monstrous to come down here and impose your will on another people. I cannot accept that Haiti should be whatever the United States wants it to be."
People in Haiti found a way to impose themselves as the primary actors of politics and to pose the threat then that they would indeed take control of the country and that there would be a democratic movement that would force policy into line with the interests of the great majority of the people. And those would not coincide with the interests of the rich few. And that was obvious to everybody. And that threat was...
And then you wouldn't have to send the Marines, you'd just have to retain the food.
When Aristide first came to power, he opposed this plan. Before deciding to run for office, he observed, "Of course, the US has its own agenda, but it is monstrous to come down here and impose your will on another people. I cannot accept that Haiti should be whatever the United States wants it to be."
People in Haiti found a way to impose themselves as the primary actors of politics and to pose the threat then that they